On virtual battlefields, young players with lightning-fast reactions always dominate the game, or at least, everyone thinks they do. However, these impressive headshots are pulled off not by a 17-year-old teenager but by a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran named Will, better known as Grandpa Gaming. Here's something most gamers don't: real combat experience, which turns out to be way more important than mere reflexes. And while this old, retired soldier is having fun and enjoying himself, I can't help but wonder what could happen if he controlled not only virtual fighters but, say, an android on a real battlefield. The power of a robot immune to both pain and exhaustion, combined with the skills of a real-life veteran, could yield fantastic results. And for Will, it would be no different from playing the same old game. Judging by the latest developments in the defense sector, I'm not the only one pondering over the virtualization of warfare, as the military forces of leading nations certainly seem to have given it a thought. So today, in this, by my standards, rather untypical video, let's try to figure out how come some actual warriors already became players, in a sense. What consequences could the technological race in this field lead to, and what will soldiers have to sacrifice to win a virtualized war? The first attempts to virtualize battle took place 50 years before the rise of video games. As far back as World War II, German forces used these tracked mines called Goliaths. Essentially, they were radio-controlled mini-tanks that the Wehrmacht hoped would blow up enemy armored vehicles. In turn, the Soviet Union converted full-size tanks to remote control, making them capable of recognizing up to 24 commands. However, both these tanks and the German Goliaths rarely hit their targets. The Americans went the furthest under the secret Operation Aphrodite. B-17 Flying Fortresses and B-24 Liberator heavy bombers were converted into uncrewed BQ-7 drones to hit their targets. A bit later, in 1944, one of the BQ-8s exploded during testing, which took the life of Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., brother of future U.S. President John F. Kennedy. All of this would have remained just a curious fact for history lovers if exactly 80 years later, similar remotely controlled vehicles wouldn't be dominating the battlefield. This may look like a typical gaming club, but in fact, it's a drone control bunker. In modern warfare, the operator wearing a VR headset looks so much like the main character from the sci-fi movie Ready Player One that it's almost alarming, to the point of giving you the eerie feeling that the cyberpunk future is already here. In just a few years, quadcopters have evolved from purely reconnaissance devices to weapons of destruction. At first, they were modified to drop small grenades, which, by the way, was the first thing airplanes were meant to do during World War I. Right now, FPV drones with a first-person view have already become a versatile platform. Equipped with just a few kilograms of explosives, they can strike virtually anything, from infantry to tanks. What's interesting is that, for the operator, everything looks like a real-life video game, where they have dozens of lives, meaning spare drones, which secures them a good chance to rack up battle points without risking their own life. Well, kind of. Naturally, there's always the risk that the enemy might locate the bunker and attempt to destroy it with their own drones. On top of that, becoming such a player on the battlefield is anything but easy, as it takes a lot of training to adapt your vestibular system to the sensation of flying, which would usually make you dizzy and nauseous. Excellent coordination is also a must, because even the slightest twitch of the control stick results in a speed change of several dozen kilometers per hour. Yet all these challenges are definitely worth it from the standpoint of combat economics. Military equipment costing millions of dollars can be instantly destroyed by a drone that costs just a few thousand. And if it's shot down or the communication between the drone and its operator gets jammed, there's no problem. There's always a replacement that takes off right after. The Pentagon seems to have learned from these successes and is now contracting commercial vendors for various drone models, which are planned to be used as expendable equipment in future wars.